G'day Patriots, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Monday, the 2nd of the 4th, 2018, and the time here is 09:30 AM Australian Standard Time. Okay folks, I've got something to go through with you which is pretty important. This is my Patreon page. Look folks, it's becoming my computer is becoming just about unusable. I've sat here for an hour now just trying to get this video out because, look, I know it's, you can get into conspiracy theories and that, but look, basically I've got to click a button to record this show. So I click on the button, I start recording, and then my other button to stop recording disappears. And look, it's like I said, it's becoming so ridiculous that I'm actually going to have to get off YouTube. Which means that if you want to listen to me, you're now going to have to go on my Patreon page, because I'm being serious. The last video I did with David Morgan from the Silver Investor and the Morgan Report, it got absolutely 110% hammered by YouTube, and I got 40 comments, and I usually get 300 plus. It struggled to even get to 1900 views. Now the reports from the video was a fantastic video. Everyone loved it. The audio was a bit crap, which is another problem. Couldn't use Skype because we were trying to record on. Well, we started recording, and then there was no recording. There was no noise. So they shut off my audio. It's just stuff like that, folks, and it's pissing me off, and it's getting to the point where I literally cannot use YouTube, which is, I guess, was what they want. And I'm not a computer wizard, so I'm going to have to go for option B, which is go on Patreon. So you guys are going to have to go on Patreon to see the interview. I've actually lined up an interview tomorrow with Dr. Dave Jander, who goes on from the Freedom Movement in the US. And, I can't keep doing this if I can't record stuff. It's just that simple. So look, the interview of Dr. Jander will be actually put straight on the Patreon page in a couple of weeks' time, whatever. I may put it on YouTube, but look, it's like I said, it's just becoming unusable. Everyone's going to D-tube and this tube and that tube. Well, yeah, I can probably agree with that, and I have started a site on D-tube, I think it is. But look, this is how ridiculous it's getting. They're actually stifling free speech, and in my mind, that's communism and Nazism, whatever you want to call it. It's just, I should be able to say whatever I want to say. As long as I'm not telling people to go and kill people, I should be able to express my views, whatever those views are. People might not like them, tough shit. Get a backbone. That's what's missing in this world at the moment. So like I said, from now on, I'm just going to upload them to Patreon. It'll probably kill all my YouTube sites, but folks, it's not easy doing this stuff. I've got to make time for it. I've got to do my research and everything else, and this will be the better site to go on if you want to watch interviews from now on, because it's just pointless. Like, I'm not putting them on YouTube. What's the point? For all I know, I probably had 300 people that commented on my last video, but I never got them. So do you see how ridiculous it's getting? Okay, let's talk about Novichok. Novichok and the whole scenario that's been developed because of Novichok around the world at the moment is becoming quite ridiculous. England expelling Russian diplomats Russia expelling British diplomats and actually closing down consulates in Russia, America expelling diplomats, blah, 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 blah. Look, once you start reading into it, right, and I mean doing some real research into it, you start to realise that, and that's another reason why my computer went shit up today as well, because I had all these beautiful videos and some scientists that were going to, you know, that I was going to get them the videos to talk to you guys, and all gone, all gone. So, you know, and I just, this is what annoys me most. I do stuff like push restart so that my Google pages should be restored. So it comes up, restore Google pages. I press it, all wiped, the whole lot, gone. These things never happen. You know, it's just bullshit. Right, anyway, sorry. Just angry, ugh, just winds me up. Deep breath, right. Okay, Novichok. This is actually pretty serious. And once you start reading into it, you realise that the British government has now got themselves into such a state that they are actually going to have to tell people that it wasn't the Russians that did this. Because it's clearly obvious that the Russians did not do this. So I'm going to lead you through some stuff. It's going to take a while because I'm going to try and read some of this stuff to you while I'm on air, while I'm recording, so that you actually get the gist of exactly what is wrong here. Because there's a couple of things to remember. An able-bodied person who goes to the aid of anybody who's been, you know, touched with this stuff, there's a very high contagious component there. So, i.e., contamination to the other person. That's why these guys are wearing these, you know, balloon suits. So you can't just go up to someone who's been hit with nerve gas and just, or nerve agent, VX, sarin, Novichok, any of these. You can't just go up and go, you right, mate? You okay? You know, can I help you? Because you're going to die. It's as simple as that. Now, the other thing to remember here is you need a pinprick, virtually a pinprick, to contaminate someone. So if you've got a piece of paper and you wipe it on their face, they're dead. That's a massive dose. So you virtually need a pinprick to kill someone. Just let that sink in. You need a pinprick to kill someone, or just over it, you know what I mean? Not so wiping someone's face with it, or drinking it, or giving them gas where they inhale it directly into their lungs will kill them within minutes. And as I said, anybody who comes to their aid will die. If they touch that person and they get the nerve agent on them, now remember here, balloon suits, extremely contagious. Did you know that there was a nurse who came to the aid of the two people sitting on the bench? She was actually a registered nurse and she's alive and she didn't even go to hospital. This is true. This is actually true. You can read up and find it. This is how bizarre, this is how crazy these people are. These people are crazy, folks. They're actually crazy. But the other side of the coin is that, you know, 99% of the population believe this shit. That's right. 99% of the population believe the shit that the government's selling. But unfortunately for the British government, it's actually unraveling. So they've had to, they're going to actually have to eat, as you Americans say, a big fat crow pie. I think that's the expression. We call it just eat shit over here. They're going to have to eat shit because they actually bullshitted their way to everybody and it's coming unstuck. You know, Here's how crazy this is. The people that got poisoned, Skirapol and his daughter, were found in a park, right? Which was a fair distance from their home, I'm guessing. Look, if you've been hit with nerve agent, you ain't walking anywhere. You ain't going, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll go over there to the park and sit down on a park bench because I feel crook. It ain't like that, folks. Now, so far, there was no nerve agent in the park, no nerve agent in the house. The most nerve agent they found was on the doorknob of their house. You can't make this shit up. And these people think, well, actually, they're right. People are actually believing this stuff. People are actually believing that this is what happened. This is how bizarre these people are. Sorry, folks, just had to fix up the studio lighting because you couldn't see my ugly mug properly. It was all dark. Yeah, so look, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start from the beginning, because the beginning, funnily enough, is not in the Salisbury Park, and you'll see what I mean in a second. And folks, where this starts is actually a few thousand miles away in Syria, believe it or not, because just after Trump came into power, if you remember, became president, not in power, there was a suggested nerve agent attack in Syria. So the US bombed the shit out of an airport, which they said the nerve agent was at, which, by the way, is exactly what you shouldn't do, because all those nerve agents just go into the air if you don't kill them properly. And you're talking about extreme heat here. That's about the only thing that kills them. So dropping a bomb on them isn't going to kill them. It actually explodes them everywhere out. So that one thing actually means that was all a load of bullshit anyway. It was more about there was something at that airport that the US wanted to bomb the shit out of, not nerve agents there. Because you can't just bomb nerve agents. Because if you just bomb them, then that whole area and wherever those rocks and shit go, if there was nerve agents, that all becomes contaminated. Do you see my point? So it all started back then. So let's go through this together. This is the video. I'm hoping, because it's mirroring, I'm hoping that you'll actually hear the video, hear the actual message here. But if not, you'll understand when you see the pictures anyway. Now, it is horrific to watch this, folks, so just be prepared. Did you actually understand what he said then, folks? He's saying they actually went into ISIS-controlled areas. Now, how the hell did they do that? Because ISIS was killing everybody. So that's just one moot point that I picked up. But just watch. You'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, folks. That's all you need to see about that, by the way, because it's all bullshit. The international chemical weapons people went in there and found nothing. There was no recorded chemical weapons there at all. None. Did the people die? Yeah, you probably saw them dead yourself. What did they die from? Well, they died from inhalation of something that was a gas, that's for sure, everyone knows that, but it wasn't sarin. Now, as I said, I'm going to prove to you in a minute that it can't be, because when you read the chemical composition and the actual symptoms, then you will understand that this is all bullshit. And that one there that the Americans bombed the shit out of with 70 missiles or whatever was not sarin gas. And it was not a chemical agent, because it got proven to be that by the world-renowned people from the chemical thing from The Hague, who found nothing. There was nothing there. There was no chemical agent used at all. In actual fact, what actually happened was ISIS, and this is what has been proved, ISIS did it to the people themselves. Yeah, excuse my French, but it's a bit of a fucked up world we live in, isn't it? Right, let's go back. Now, folks, I'm going to take you back, and this is you're going to, when you see this, you're going to say, bloody hell, this is incredible. I'm going to take you back just a little bit more, 15 years ago, to Russia and the Dubrovnik Theatre hostage scenario. So there was something like 900 people in there, and it went for days, if you remember. But it was a long time ago. You'll have to stretch your memory to actually remember it. Now, I can't remember how many people died. 300 people died or something like that. Like, it wasn't a win-win situation for the Russian government. They stormed in, blew the place up. But, and here's the big but, the Russian government poured a chemical agent into the air conditioning ducts, which killed everybody just about. This is true. This is actually 110% true. The Russians poured something, no one knows what it was. They've never told anybody what it was, but it killed most of the people, including the terrorists, which were from Chechnya. Now, you have to remember that bit, Chechnya, okay? So, to this day, no one knows what it was that killed all those people. But it wasn't bullets. But when they came out, they were all convulsing, and if they weren't dead, or they were throwing up everywhere, it was pretty tragic. And some of the actual responders, the responders weren't even allowed into the building to help the people because it was a chemical agent that they used, obviously. So let me go to that story now. Well, you can't say I didn't tell you. And the Russian government killed everybody. They pumped the chemical agent in, and then they sent the troops in afterwards and blew the shit out of the place and killed people. And like there was no prisoners, sort of thing. It just deteriorated rapidly. But what a lot of people don't tell you is they pumped the chemical agent in, and they waited hours. Hours. They started putting the chemical agent in 6 hours, I think it was, before the Russian troops went in. So if anybody inside was alive, they were dead anyway. Pretty good negotiating technique, isn't it? So this proves that the Russians did have or have chemical agents. Is it Novichok? Don't think so. What is it? Who knows? But it was a chemical agent. They actually used chemical agents on their own people. Now, the reason I'm telling you all this is because it's significant to know that you're not living in an echo chamber and, you know, the Russians didn't do it. But my point here is that the Russians had chemical weapons. They do have chemical weapons. And as I'm going to show to you, everyone has chemical weapons. And your jaw's going to drop in disbelief probably when I tell you exactly what's going on. So let's move on further, okay? Okay, so now we're down to the nitty gritty here. Tit for tat, Russia's getting rid of people, etc., etc. So the governments around the world are getting rid of their Russian people. The Russians are, you know, on and on and on it goes. Okay. Now, listen to this guy here. This is interesting. By the way, Russia's actually sent a communique to the British government with 14 questions on it. And they've also demanded to see the spy, this Skiripol, sorry. They want to see him. Like they actually said they want to see him because apparently he's made a recovery, which is astounding, folks, because as you're going to see in a minute, if he did get wiped with Novichok, then he's a dead man anyway. There's no coming back from it, put it that way. But as I said to you before, he lived in England for 8 years as a free man. Everyone knew where he was. It even been on TV, etc., etc. Now, why the hell would Russia use a nerve agent on one old retired bloke when they could easily just go and shoot him in the head? You know, it doesn't make sense, does it? But just, okay, this is important. Now, if you can't hear this, sadly, if it doesn't mirror properly, then I will put the link on it afterwards anyway. Just listen to what this guy says. This is important. Folks, you get the story there, I'm guessing. So, and this guy is a former UK ambassador. And what he's saying is, and it's quite true, that it's all bullshit. The Russians didn't do it. It was a nerve agent similar to a Russian nerve agent. But at no stage has it ever been said that the Russians actually did it. You can't make this shit up. Oh, right, moving on. Now, this is where this gets important because you have to understand exactly what we're dealing with here. So I'm going to play you this one and you'll see what I mean. This is in regards to VX nerve gas, right? He's already been swiped. He just got swiped over here. So he's actually telling people, if you're watching, that I've been swiped with something. Watch. Now, he lasted 20 minutes, which is incorrect because he actually died. See that place there, the medical clinic? He actually died in there because he got actually wiped, a full face wipe with nerve agent. Just listen, this is by Al Jazeera. So they're pretty impartial. So it was interesting to listen to this. So listen to this. Now, did you hear that? What you're seeing them do there was a full 2 weeks after his death. So if there was any other nerve agent there, a lot of other people would have died. But they wiped his face. And apparently they went to the toilet, washed their hands. So this is how toxic this stuff is. Like I said, you need a pinprick to kill you. That's VX. You've seen what they reckon was sarin, and you've also seen VX. Now, the difference between those two to Novichok is that Novichok will kill you straight away, more or less, because Novichok, or Novichoks, because there's different variants, is totally lethal. Like, it's a lot more lethal than VX and sarin. Like, you don't really come back from it. Even if you get swiped with it and you live, if you're lucky enough to live, or if that's the right word, you suffer incredible pain for the rest of your life till you die. Right, so let's move on a bit more. Now, this is the Novichok story that the Truth Seeker put out. And I showed you this recently last week. Now, throughout this whole thing, it tells you one thing. Two things, actually. Novichok was disposed of, or supposedly disposed of, by the Russians, by the OPCW, Organization for the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, is a UN body based in The Hague. Now, it undertook a few years ago, there was an article signed by everybody, the convention signed by everyone, and 98% of chemical weapons were destroyed around the world by everybody. But the biggest ones were the Russians. The Russians just gave it all up, and they don't use it. Look, and we all know they probably got some stashed somewhere. So, but the thing there is that Portadown, which is the English version of chemical weapons, where they produce chemical weapons, they make the stuff. And as I said, there's 6 variants of the Novichok. It comes in different variants, 5, 7, 3, all this sort of stuff. So it's not just one. There's 7 variants of the Novichok chemical weapon stuff. And they make it, guess where? America and England. And obviously, I suppose the Russians have some. But it gets even scarier. I'll show you. So, like I said, I'll put the link for that. The reason I'm doing all this is so that you guys send this to people and just make them realise how stupid this whole thing is. Now, I'm going to read this. This is the bit that I'm going to read. So this is going to take a while, but you'll understand exactly what's going on after I've read it. Novichok agent. This is on Wikipedia. Is a series of nerve agents the Soviet Union and Russia, so, during the Cold War, they developed all this stuff. Developed between 1971 and 1993. Russian scientists who developed the agents claim they are the deadliest nerve agents ever made, with some variants possibly 5 to 8 times more potent than VX, and others up to 10 times more potent than Soman, which is a variant of sarin. I know that because I read it all last night. 5 Novichok variants are believed to have been weaponized for military use. The most versatile, how crazy is this world? The most versatile was a Novichok 5. They've never been used on the battlefield. Novichok agents have never been used on the battlefield. Theresa May, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and many other heads of state said that one such agent was used in the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal in England on March 2018. Now, this is where the story gets interesting, okay? You can read this for yourself if you look it up on YouTube, and I'll put the link for you on Wikipedia. In 2016, Iranian chemists synthesized 5 Novichok agents for analysis and produced detailed mass spectral data, which was added to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. Previously, there had been no detailed descriptions of their spectral properties in open scientific literature. The reason for that is because it was all done clandestine. I hope that makes sense. Now, when you read this bit, you realise that everybody, not just Russia, but everybody was making chemical weapons. The guy who made the chemical weapons, this guy here, Yanavenov, he ended up defecting to the USA, or he was brought to the USA and made the variants for the US government. it's, you know, you got to read. Look, here it is here, down here. Mirzanov now lives in the US. Well, he didn't just arrive there, folks, did he? He probably got on a plane and was welcomed with open arms. It's just crazy stuff. Okay, want to get to this bit. This is the bit that I want to read, and there's another bit down below that I'm going to read to you, folks. Look at the heading here. It says effects. Now, I'll read. In the treatment of nerve agent poisoning, this is the second paragraph, atropine is most often administered along with a hagedorn enzyme, blah, 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 which reactivates something in the body which has been inactivated by the poisoning, I'm guessing, and relieves the respiratory muscle paralysis caused by some nerve agents. It goes on to say that preludixine, whatever it is not effective in reactivating whatever it is, inhibited by some older nerve agents such as Soman or the Novichok nerve agents, described in the literature as being up to 8 times more toxic than nerve agent VX. Right, and then this is the bit that I wanted to get to. As can be seen with other organophosphate poisonings, Novichok agents may cause lasting nerve damage, resulting in permanent disability of victims, according to Russian scientists. Their effect on humans was demonstrated by the accidental exposure of Andrei Zanelnikov, one of the scientists involved in their development. He got some on him while working in a Moscow laboratory in 1987. He was critically injured and took 10 days to recover consciousness after the incident. He lost the ability to walk and was treated at a secret clinic in Leningrad for 3 months. The agent caused permanent harm, with effects that included chronic weakness in his arms, a toxic hepatitis that gave rise to cirrhosis of the liver, epilepsy, spells of severe depression, no wonder, and an inability to read or concentrate that left him totally disabled and unable to work. He never recovered and died in July 1992, 5 years after. Now, there was 2 people poisoning of Ivana Kivaldi and his wife, his secretary. Now, I have to read this bit to you because this is where it gets really head-turningly interesting. Now, folks, if you just see up here, poisoning of Ivan Kivaldi and Zara Ismailova. Now, I won't read all that, but basically they got poisoned and they died. Okay. Now, this bit down here, the second paragraph, is quite interesting. So let me read it and you'll see what I'm getting to. Vladimir, blah, 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 a former business partner of the banker, was subsequently convicted for the killings, according to The Independent. A closed trial found that his business partner obtained the substance via intermediaries from an employer of the State Research Institute of Organic Chemistry and Technology. So basically what they're saying is that a chemist working at these, state sold some of this stuff or was selling this stuff to people who wanted it, which was involved in the development of Novichok. However, Kutsavili, who claimed that he was innocent, had not been detained at the time of the trial and freely left the country. He was arrested only in 2006 after he returned to Russia, believing that the 10-year-old case was closed. According to Velestinsky and the other bloke, Kutseveli was framed for the murder by Russian security services, which had access to the chemical agent and used it to organize the murder on the orders of the senior Russian state official. That's bloody scary. Now, this is the interesting bit. Listen to this. The employee of whatever it is, Leonard Rink, received a 1-year suspended sentence for selling Novichok agents to unnamed buyers of Chechen ethnicity soon after the poisoning of Kveldi and Ismailova. Now, what they're saying there is that this stuff is actually being sold freely on the open market, and they sold them. This guy sold some to Chechens. Now, so my point here is that America has this stuff, the UK has this stuff, the Russians have this stuff. Look, and you can just about point at any European country and they've probably got this stuff as well. French. So basically this whole story is just one big fat friggin' lie. There was no chemical agent used, folks. Now, if you cast your mind back to the Syria attack, which was supposed to be sarin, as I said to you, anybody who touches this stuff is dead. That's how bad this stuff is. That's sarin. Now, Novichok, if you use a Novichok agent, you know, now these people were sitting in a park for 20 minutes apparently before anyone came to them. So look, the whole thing stinks to high heaven. And what I'm trying to get to here is that common sense and logic tells you that this is all one big fat lie. It's ridiculous. It doesn't take much to realise, once you read into the research, that everybody's got this stuff, not just the Russians, and that they developed this stuff based on the Russians' chemistry. But I already just told you that the Iranians developed this stuff as well. Everybody's got it. It's not just the Russians. And that's what they're not telling everybody. Everybody's got this stuff. Everybody. Think about that. So the big lie here is that the UK, who said that the Russians used this nerve agent on someone because, and they're pointing the finger, remember, because it was a Novichok agent. Everybody's got it. So the reason I'm asking everybody is to send this around to everyone is because you cannot, as a reasonable, sensible adult, listen to everything that I just told you and understand that it could have been anybody. But why would the Russians kill a bloke who's been living in England for 8 years like that? Oh, we'll go and put nerve agent on his door. That'll kill him. What a load of nonsense. So my point here is everybody's got this stuff, not just the Russians. And they're lying to everyone to say that they haven't. Because it's actually stated that everybody's got it. Everyone's got the variants. And I just showed you in Wikipedia that the Iranians, since the sorry guys, synthesized this. Sorry, I can't say that word today. So anybody can make it. You can make it in your kitchen workshop if you want, if you're that intelligent, if you're that stupid. The world's gone crazy, folks. The world is, these guys are pathological liars trying to drag us to another war based on a fat lie. And folks, as always, here is the verse of the day. Can you believe this? To the chief musician, a psalm of David. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doth good. Very interesting. And as always, folks, we'll end on the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Well, folks, I've rabbited on long enough, but what I was trying to show you there is that they can point fingers at whoever they want. What they don't want you and everyone else to know is that they've all got this thing. You can buy it on the open market. The Chechens bought it on the open market from the direct science laboratory that was making it. So please get this message out there and just shut this bullshit lie down, because this is just bullshit. It's a lie. They want to take us to war based on the fact that they're saying, oh, it was Russians, when there's no proof at all that it was the Russians. All they're saying is that it was a Novichok agent that was similar to the one that Russia made. Oh, that's good enough to throw the Russians out of the country. The lie is unraveling around them, folks. So please get this message out there to everyone. Anyway, folks, God bless.